Well, welcome to our third coronavirus edition of the Huckabee Show. And by the way, we're practicing safe social distancing by keeping our theater empty and our minimal crew and team safely separated. I'm actually operating from my remote studio 460 miles from our theater. And like you, we are all ready to be back to normal, if there ever will be such a thing. But we also take the virus seriously, and you should too. I've had friends and acquaintances who have been infected and know personally a few people who have died from it. Those who scoff at the seriousness of this need to think about this. Do you really think the NBA, Major League Baseball, NASCAR, the NCAA, the Masters, and other sports would shut down and lose billions of dollars if not for a real pandemic threat? Would entire nations impose absolute quarantines? And would major corporations close their doors? And would the president urge a virtual shutdown of our nation's economy during an election year if this weren't deadly serious? Oh, I know there are some conspiracy theorists who say that the scope of the danger is overblown, but few who say such things are public health experts. Perhaps we will find that there was an overabundance of caution and maybe some things could have been tempered. But in major cities like New York, Chicago, LA, Detroit, New Orleans, Miami, and yes, Nashville, the cases have multiplied from both a densely populated area with lots of tourists coming in and out, but also because many people just didn't take it seriously. Now, most churches in the nation have closed their on-campus services to conduct services online. A few kept open, but they took extraordinary measures to try and protect the attendees. One such church is the River at Tampa Bay Church. It required attendees to separate 6 to 10 feet from others. They supplied hand sanitizer at every door for every attendee. They spent $100,000 for a hospital-quality airflow system, and they had every staff member wearing gloves. But this week, Sheriff Chad Chronister of Hillsborough County, Florida, actually arrested the pastor, Pastor Rodney Howard Brown, because he conducted church services. Think about that. A pastor got arrested for having a church service. Now, he didn't sneeze or cough on people. He didn't deny the virus was real, and in fact, took great precautions to maintain social distancing at the church. But he was arrested and taken to jail because he opened his church. Now, remember, nobody was forced to attend. The attendees arrived on their own, and one wonders why those who attended weren't arrested as well. This is going to set up a colossal legal battle as to whether the government at any level can tell a church, synagogue, or mosque that it cannot provide religious services to its members. Now, my own church is doing services online and not on any of its 5 campuses. And personally, I think that's the prudent choice. If my church did have services at any of the locations, be honest with you, I'd opt to still be involved online just to protect myself and, more importantly, my family who's quarantined with me. But should the government actually arrest a pastor for having church? And if government can shut down a church now, when will some government decide that a church is dangerous because it believes what the government deems to be wrong? If a church who believes the biblical pattern of marriage of one man, one woman is considered discriminatory, is the pastor going to get arrested for that? If a church believes that men and women ought to have separate restrooms and dressing rooms and gender-separate dorms and showers at youth camp, will the pastor be arrested and jailed for not following what the government deems right? Matt Staver and our friends at Liberty Counsel are representing Pastor Brown, and we're going to follow this case very closely. But while I believe the risks to public safety and life are real from the coronavirus, I also believe that we cannot and we must not sacrifice our First Amendment guarantees of freedom of religion, free speech, and freedom to assemble. I urge you, protect your family during these times, but be equally vigilant that government doesn't become itself a deadly virus that will kill our liberties and turn us into a police state. Now, if you're seeing this, I know you've enjoyed that video. I mean, how could you not, after all? So you know what you should do? Leave a like, click on the subscribe button below, and hit the notification bell next to it so you'll always know when I have another video up for you to enjoy.